topic today is material. I want to speak about relationship between wood and Japanese and wood and Japan. And historically, as we Japanese were using wood for the main material of houses and for the city. But in 20th century, concrete and steel came to Japan, and those practical material, those industrial material, destroy the city of Japan and life of Japan. I I feel. Instead, I want to bring back wood again to Japanese houses and Japanese cities, and also to Japanese culture, because the Japanese culture are very much related with wood. Today, I want to show some slides the, uh, to explain the relationship between life and material. First, the slide I want to show is Hiroshige Museum. And it's completed year 2000, and it is very important project for me because for this project, the is the first project that to use wood for every part of the building. The roof is made by wood, and there's also the wall, and there's the floor furnitures. Those are all made by wood. And also, I designed the relationship with village and forest. The hall in the building is most important part of the building. This is a hall. This is a site plan of the project. And the upper part, the green part, is called Satoyama. So the meaning of Satoyama is village mountain. And the lower part, there is a main road, Oshu Road, which connect Tokyo and this village. And before 20th century, the people's life was totally supported by the forest. No electric, no power company before 20th century, no gas company, and mountain itself was the infrastructure of the village. And without forest, they couldn't survive. And of course, material for the building and material for furniture came from forest. And even the agriculture without forest, they couldn't have rice. And then the life and forest was basically lived together. And I want to explain about shrine in the forest. Every village of Japan, so we have the shrine at the edge of the forest, because the shrine is itself the message to the people. The message is, without forest, we cannot survive anymore. And they built shrine at the edge of the forest. And then the village people respect mountain, and of course respect shrine and respect trees, and they did use wood very carefully. And but in 20th century, they have forgotten that message, and they are using concrete and steel for every building and every houses, and finally, the shrine itself was forgotten. In this small village, so already the shrine was abandoned, and it is like ruin. And basic idea of this museum is reconnect the village and forest again by the hole which penetrate the building. This is showing the hole which connect village and forest, and also entrance is coming from behind. But I think this is not behind. In 20th century, parking is the main facade. But now we should go back to forest. The parking should be forgotten in 21st century. And at the beginning of the project, the mayor of the village didn't like my idea. They said, parking should be the main entrance. But I said, forest should be the main entrance. Facing the forest is most important for the project. And material-wise, I did use the wood as possible as can. And working with carpenters are very exciting because Japanese carpenters knows how to use wood, local wood, in a proper way. And also I worked with rice paper craftsmen. They did use the special as a plants from the village. And most of the material of this project came from the village. And by using wood, so we could create the one cycle, the forest, building, and agriculture, and everything is in the one cycle. And this is a very sustainable system. But in 20th century, this as a cycle has totally forgotten. And after this project, I began to do the experimental pavilion with student. The Japanese carpenters are very good to use thin material, because to use thin material is very good to create this sustainable cycle. So for example, this small pavilion, the dimension of wood is 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. And without any screw, without any bolt, without any glue. This is fixed by the joint system. It is an amazing system and very sustainable system. And by using this system, as we Japanese could keep forest. And still, the 70% of Japanese land is forest. It is unbelievably high percentage. And compare with other the developed countries, the 70% is a kind of miracle. So even in the Tokyo metropolis, we have big forest. And the magic is coming from this thin wood. This is an example of a joint system. So I got a hint from this toy. And the 3 types of sections and assembled together without any screw. That also is a very good exercise for a student. The student is usually studying architecture by computer, but to use wood by hand is very helpful to know the space, to know the relationship between space and material. And this was built by a student. And after the completion of this building, I decided to apply this system for bigger project. This is the working project with special structure engineer. And also it's very much related with the contemporary structure design. The contemporary structure design can make this is possible to use the thin wood. University, we check this kind of joint system, and finally, so we could achieve this 10 meters high building with this thin wood joint system, and no column, and then it's no concrete, of course. There's only 6 centimeters by 6 centimeter section wood. This is interior, and it's very transparent. And this kind of intimate scale create the very human building. And this is a look up the building. And CLT, this CLT is, of course, can be as a new system for bigger building. But I prefer to use that as a thin wood because it is good for forest. And again, I did use wood for bigger structure as well. But bigger structure, horizontal bigger structure, not skyscraper. It is a wooden bridge. Kochi Prefecture. The Kochi Prefecture is 84% of Kochi Prefecture is forest. It is amazingly high percentage, and they are very proud to have this high percentage forest. As a wooden bridge can be used for museum, I found, because to cover the bridge is good for maintenance, and then this bridge is often used for some small exhibition. For the same village, I did inspired by this small tea house. They are very proud to have this tea house because they were serving tea for tourists for long years in this tea house. And I did use the same material for this small hotel of the village. It's a thatch. The thatch is also coming from forest. And I love the texture of thatch and the warmness of thatch. And it is very unusual to use thatch for the facade of the building. Is used for a small hotel and small market of the local product. And at the end of my lectures, I want to show the smallest project I designed. It is Tsumiki, by Japanese wood. When I was a kid, every day I was playing with the wood block. But wood block I did use is a kind of wooden brick, and the brick is very much related with Western tradition and Western buildings. Ryuichi Sakamoto, my friend, he also loves forest very much. One day he came to me and asking to design new type of wood block. And my proposal for him is to have this shape. Compared with the Western brick, this is very transparent and very light, very thin. And magic of this lightness is a joint of a corner joint. In the corners, the Japanese craftsman inserted the small hardwood to make the corner as much stronger than the normal joint. And you can see this is a small piece which is inserted. And with this kind of small detail, the Japanese carpenter, Japanese craftsman, could make transparency of the space. And this is the magic of Japanese traditional building. But the tradition, that technique is disappearing. It is very, very pity, I think. And Frank Lloyd Wright, famous Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect, he also loved the wood block very much. And his mother gave him the very special wood block. The wood block has a triangular shape and circular shape, and it is very different. And some historian explained that those geometry, irregular geometry, was the basis of design of Frank Lloyd Wright. And I hope that this the triangular shape, this lightness, can be as a new tool to imagine the new space. And for kids, how to play is very important for their future and important for the future of the country. Japan, in 20th century, people forgotten to play with wood. But playing with this kind of wood can change the mentality of us. And that is the basis of this design. And I apply this idea for bigger building. And I want to change the concrete world to wooden world. And this is not only the change of material. This is a change of life and change of the world. Thank you very much.